So this is my first time speaking at an event like this, and when I was preparing to come here, I was telling myself, looking for Mark, I was telling myself I have to channel my inner Mark Hughes, but then I decided that just wasn't possible. And also, each of us in this movement, we have to be authentic. We have to be who we are and bring our own individual best selves to this long-term effort that we're all engaged in together. So I just have to be me instead of Mark and do the best I can. So I want to touch upon 5 things in my remarks. First, I want to broaden the concept of truth in government just a little bit. I want to share what this has to do with happiness. I want to step away from partisanship. I want to look briefly at the nub of the problem and finally share a long-term solution. So first, from a G&H perspective, we talk not so much about truth in government, but more about trust in governance, which includes corporate decisions, which can also have a major impact on the quality of our lives and our well-being. For example, we should of course trust that when we pay hundreds of dollars for an airline ticket, we won't end up getting dragged off that plane by police because the airlines have overbooked the flight for profit. So obviously policies like that and the lies and the deception that are going on with government officials around such really crucial issues in our lives as the climate, as institutionalized racism, as healthcare and education. So when they're being so deceptive, that's gonna naturally make us unhappy. So that's why we're here. These things make us unhappy, as they should. But there's also research around this issue. And gross national happiness is a data-driven approach. And data has found that there are 9 key areas where government policies can either make us a great deal happier or a great deal less happy. And one of those 9 key areas is trust in governance. In fact, Helen Russell has written a book called My Year of Living Danishly. And she found that trust in government is the key factor in why Denmark consistently rates as one of the happiest governments, one of the happiest countries on the planet. We have Vermont data too. There are happiness surveys that have been going on for several years, and Vermonters rate their trust in governance as one of the most unhappy of those 9 key areas. So here in Vermont, we also have a lot of mistrust of governance. It may be aimed mostly at the federal government, but it's there. It's a problem for us as well. Throughout America, red state, blue, or purple, there is deep distrust of governance. We don't all necessarily distrust the same officials or believe the same truths, but this is a nonpartisan commonality. Trust in governance could be a unifying principle. It could bring us together if we could get to the place where we could actually listen to one another and what's important. So why do we see so much untrustworthy behavior? So I think one big reason is greed, and greed may very well be innate to the human condition. But still, I think the real villain here is the GDP-driven growth economy, which demands greed for money and more stuff, sometimes in the name of happiness. But that is a made-up construct. We can be greedy for other things. And the money and the stuff is sold in the name of happiness, but it isn't working. So over the last few decades, the GDP has continued to rise, but happiness has flatlined. But you know what has risen? suicide rates for all age groups, including children. So this current system is not making us happier. So I say it's time to be greedy for happiness. So a G&H framework can help us move in that direction. So a G&H framework is comprehensive and inclusive. The idea is you run policy questions through a matrix to determine the impact on the environment, on equality, on health, on education, and more. All the things that make us truly and collectively happy and well. Then, with this holistic data, policymakers can make the right choices. In 1968, on his ill-fated presidential campaign, Bobby Kennedy said of GDP that it measures everything except that which makes life truly worth living. So that's just plain wrong, that's our guiding system of measure. Instead, we need a government that takes the people's right to pursue happiness seriously. A government based on well-being for the people, including future generations and animals and the planets. A government that values those things which truly make life worth living. That would be trustworthy governance. So I invite you to join the happiness movement. You can check out our website at gnhusa.org, sign the Charter for Happiness, and keep on trucking. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ginny. I just found out right before she spoke that this was Ginny's first time speaking.